Hello everyone, how's it going? So the series finale of The Boys is here. I finished watching it twice and it's serviceable. That's the best thing I can give this episode. It's a adequate end. It doesn't solve everyone. It basically tries to wrap everything up as quickly as possible and give everyone a happy sitcom ending. And basically everything that everyone's ever predicted, I've seen other people review and predict what the finale was going to be like. It's literally that. There is very little, I would say, difference between what everyone expected this to be, because let's face it, the writing for this series has been very expected. There has been really no twist, even though they said that no one is safe, anyone can die at any moment, like episode 1 of season 1 of Game of Thrones, but that's not true at all. We all knew who was going to survive and who was going to die, and yeah, it's exactly that. Is it as bad as Game of Thrones? Absolutely not. To me, that will still remain one of the top tier, crappiest series finales that ever exist. But I would say this is more in line with Dexter in a way, like the original Dexter of how it ended. Yeah, it's what it is, but I would say it's not as bad as I thought it would be. They did have to rush through everything and just try and push it out as quickly as possible. I really think they could have done a little better job if they focused more on the core story elements instead of having 2 episodes dedicated to filler. So how does this start? It starts with a memorial for Frenchie because Homelander for some reason has decided he's not going to hunt down the boys. He's focusing on his inauguration of being the one true god, but they're having a memorial to Frenchie, and of course they start off with sex jokes, him saying that they were practically his family, even though they weren't blood related because he's seen all of their buttholes. Yeah, it's really weird, but they can't really stop with the sex stuff when it comes to the boys for some reason. But they have a giant memorial and everything, and they're unsure if Kimiko inherited the powers that they were trying to give her. But yeah, Homelander goes to see Ryan. He finds out where he's staying in Russia and tries to convince him to come back home because Soldier Boy is out of commission. He put him back into the vat, so he's essentially his only family, and Ryan just tells him to screw off. He wants nothing to do with him. He tells him he's not God, but instead of hurting him or anything, he just flies off hoping that Ryan will change his mind and come back. At least he believes it. Homelander, being the narcissist he is, believes that he can do anything, and it's kind of ingrained with Homelander. He needs everyone to love him, and he assumes everyone will come along now that he has to be one, which they also write themselves in a corner, and I'll discuss that later. As for Sister Sage, she has actually a smart moment, believe it or not. So in order to force the test, she starts picking at Kimiko. She's completely shut down after Frenchie's death, and she starts pushing all the buttons. She starts saying no, if you didn't, the only reason you were with Frenchie and slept with him is so he wouldn't leave you. It wasn't the other way around. He was your pet, and you knew that the second he found out that you were this screwed up, unlikable person, he would have left you. So you grabbed him, you sunk your teeth into him, you slept with him, and that's the whole reason he stuck around. And it triggers her to use Soldier Boy's power, and she wipes the V from Sister Sage, who becomes an idiot, and she's happy. She's just like, you know what, I don't have the burden of intelligence anymore, and now I'm happy. She does leave right after their meeting when they're discussing what they're going to do with Homelander, but she's just like, I'm going to go to Harry Potter land, and that's it. I know that once Homelander succeeds, that I'm going to be killed or put into a camp or whatever, so I might as well enjoy the time I have left, despite the fact she has no money. She's the most wanted person in the country. Everyone knows what she looks like. She doesn't even try to change her look or anything. She just leaves and says, you know what, screw it, which, you know what, whatever. She's happier now. Let her go do her own thing. She fulfilled her purpose for whatever they needed her to do, because the writing has been all over the place. But they decide this is their one and only opportunity to stop Homelander. When he's doing his whole Easter inauguration, they're going to just go and try and trigger the entire event. And, well, for Homelander, he's trying the same thing that he did in the last episode, where Old Father is trying to convince the richest and most powerful people in the planet to side with Homelander. Homelander doesn't give a damn. He demands absolute subjugation, or they're not with him and deserve to die. And they have the most generic racist crap you can think of. The person is talking about, hey, we should have Starlighters become slaves. Even All Father is just like, what? Like, I think that he's also just at this point where he's like, this is flat out crazy, and he's just doing this for survival at this point, because Homelander has completely lost it at this point. He will kill anyone at any minute. Like, one of the richest persons on, he's the richest billionaire on the planet. He just takes him to space and kills him. That's it. He's just like, yeah, he didn't believe, so he's dead. As for the Deep, he tries to come back into Homelander's life, and as expected, he says exactly what everyone knew about him, that he's most pathetic, unimportant person in Homelander's life, and the only reason he hasn't killed him is because it's beneath him. He tells him he just wants him to suffer because he's the most pathetic person he's ever met, but in reality, I also think it's just because he doesn't care. It's not worth his time to kill the Deep, and it just crushes him even more. He doesn't even call him the Deep, he just calls him by his real name, Kevin, and it utterly destroys him. Ashley is right now in the worst state she's ever been. Her other self is adamant that she's done with her. In fact, for the entirety of the episode, she says nothing. She flat out confirmed that she is done with her. Do whatever you want. But Ashley also realizes she has to do something at this point. She does pull... Well, it's more of a selfish hero moment where she does save the boys later on. Their entire plan hinges on the fact that Buttermilk somehow memorized the entire security defense for the White House as they go in and try and sneak in. I'm just like, that makes no sense, because they changed the layout for the security of the White House, I would imagine, very frequently to protect, the most important people on the in the United States, but... they rely on that because they're desperate at this point. Butcher also just wants this to be done because this is their one and only moment. The second he becomes the one true god, that's it. There's no way they're going to get anywhere near Homelander. And that's basically the plan. Get to him as quickly as possible and hope for the best. So they raid the White House. Ashley saves them from a kill zone because, lo and behold, they updated the security. So Ashley starts to try and help them, and then they try to rush Homelander. At that point, Allfather comes in along with the Deep, who is completely broken down. They just kind of leave him in the room, and they find him hiding. So Allfather comes in. Annie decides to take on the Deep, and as expected, the Deep dies in the most pathetic way you can possibly imagine. Annie still tries to reason with him, tell him to take responsibility for his actions. He's still blaming everyone else, specifically Annie, saying that it's her fault, that when she came into his life, she ruined everything, even though it was his fault. And she's just saying, like, Annie is actually trying to be understanding here, despite the fact this guy's been nothing but the worst person to ever live on the planet, especially in her life. She actually genuinely still tries to help him, and he refuses to take responsibility, even just says flat out no, and she pushes him into the water, and they kill him as the sea creatures promised they would do, which means he just died by the very creatures that he loved more than anything in the world. It's a fitting end for the Deep. Allfather dies because he tries to use his powers, and they use some sort of titanium, I don't know what it's called, a mouth guard they use for sex. I don't want to know what it is. It's some BDSM crap, but him and Ashley got it for some sex stuff, and they used that in order to kill him. Basically, Mother's Milk somehow finds this device. It's a titanium ball, straps it onto his mouth the second he tries to use it on Huey, and he dies. As for the final fight for Homelander, it goes as well as you might expect. It's exactly what you might anticipate for this. They start fighting despite Homelander literally being supercharged to the point that he can choke out Soldier Boy, who is immensely powerful. Granted, Soldier Boy has confirmed he's not as powerful as Homelander, because he even states that Homelander could have killed him if he wanted to back at the facility, but even then, like, he is so juiced up with V1, for some reason Butcher is able to hold his own against Homelander. I don't get how he's able to do that. I consider, one, Butcher is literally dying from cancer, and this tentacle thing is the only thing keeping him going, but somehow he's able to hold his own against Homelander. Kimiko does the same thing, where she's trying to charge up the ability, but she's also still crippled with anger and sadness from the death of Frenchie. But lo and behold, when Homelander sees that Kimiko is about to use the ability, he panics and tries to run, and here comes Ryan. Ryan comes out of nowhere, and to be expected, like, this is actually something that should have happened. He comes out and starts fighting Homelander, which, again, seeing that how easy Homelander was able to take down Ryan before, it's a little weird that he doesn't do the same thing. It's like, this guy is supercharged with V1. He is the ultimate powerhouse of just untapped energy, and yet Butcher and Ryan are able to hold his own. I guess, again, it's a Deus Ex Machina. They have to make Homelander weaker. It's like everything throughout the series. Sometimes his powers are good, very godlike, and other times he's being held down by two superheroes with less than half his experience and strength. It's like in the previous episode when they were hiding in the vent. I was just like, Homelander could hear Frenchie just tap his finger, but he can't hear Sister Sage and Kimiko literally like moving across this vent made of metal. Like, literally, I would be able to hear that, but he didn't, and he didn't take 5 seconds to just check the vent. It's the same situation. Ryan is somehow able to go hand-to-hand with Homelander. So is Butcher, despite the fact he's shown that Homelander can literally just destroy Butcher, but they have to have this. And Kimiko uses the ability, and it fries the V1 right out of Homelander. He tries to run, and he's just a normal guy. And as A-Train predicted, he's nobody. He starts crying and begging and bargaining with Butcher, which he's just loving it. And as with the comic books, he just rips his head out and smears his brain all over the Oval Office. And that's kind of how the entire fight ends. Homelander is dead, everything resets. Ashley tries to play off the entire situation that she did the right thing, she wasn't wrong, and immediately Congress impeaches her, so she's gone. Bob takes over as the new leader of the United States of America, as the new president. He's basically, Bobby from Supernatural. That's all I remember the actor from. He's Bobby from Supernatural takes over, which, Bobby's a good guy. I mean, throughout the entire series, I think he's the only government official that anyone could trust, but he takes over as president. Everyone else tries to live their life. Unfortunately, Terror dies. That's the saddest part of this episode. It was expected he was going to die. He had cancer. He just survived a life-threatening situation with the chocolate cake. He was on borrowed time. As for Ryan is just like, I'm done. I don't want anything to do with you. Butcher's trying to, say you could come live with me. We'll try and make a go out of it. Ryan's just like, no, I'm done with you. I don't want anything to do with you. You're just as bad as my dad, and he needed to die. You're just a bad person. I don't know. I don't want anything to do with you. I don't know what he does afterwards, because he's Homelander's kid. I don't know if Vought's going to let him walk around, even though he has no powers, because the blast affected everyone in the room. It also cured Butcher, which makes no sense to me, because shouldn't he still have cancer and stuff? But I don't know how this works. Apparently it cured him, like the situation with Brainiac and Lex Luthor. He just doesn't have it anymore. So with Terror dead and Ryan gone, Butcher has nothing left, and at that point he reaches his low point where he has the drug that Frenchie made to kill all the Supes. He goes to Vought, because of course he does, and for some reason, despite this entire calamity happening, he's able to get into the room of the Seven. He does kill a bunch of guards and everything, but it's still you would expect this building would be in super lockdown, guarded everywhere. But he makes it to the Seven. Huey finds out what he's doing, and he goes up there. They have a kind of face-off where Huey doesn't want it for him to do that because it'll kill Kimiko, it'll kill Starlight, it'll kill all the innocent people who are happen to be Supes. But even Billy is just there's only a matter of time before they create another Homelander, which logic will dictate that they're obviously going to create one that would be immune to whatever you're doing right now. I mean, the V1 makes you immune to that. They're going to keep trying to perfect it, so this thing will just kill everyone else who's not part of that V1, and eventually when they do make it, because they will make it, because Stan Edgar is back as CEO of Vought, and he literally told Mother's Milk he's not going to stop. He's going to keep looking for profits and everything. So eventually they're going to create one, not to mention Soldier Boy is still around. He's still in the vat, so he would be immune to that. And if he gets out, it's basically just done. Who's gonna stop that guy? The only guy who could stop him was Homelander, and he's gone. But Huey and Butcher have a standoff. Both of them clash their ideologies. Huey threatens him. Butcher says, "You're not gonna shoot me," and then Butcher's about to pull the switch that's gonna release the V virus onto everyone. And the thing is that the way they have it is very cryptic. Butcher wants to release it, but he puts the detonator on the desk, hoping Huey will be on his side. But I was like, he should know better. Huey's not going to give up Starlight. He's not going to give Annie up for anything. But he does it anyway. They have a fight, and Huey's forced to put him down. That's how it ends. I mean, we all knew Butcher was going to die at the end. Dying at Huey's hand, I guess, I mean, someone did predict that, but I thought it was going to be like a mutual assured destruction where Homelander and him were going to kill each other at the same time, but this is more profound. Huey ends up killing Butcher because he's basically like his little brother and everything, after which everyone just goes off and lives their life. Kimiko goes to France to honor Frenchie, Mother's Milk reunites with his ex-wife and they get married, and apparently Ryan has been adopted by Mother's Milk, I guess, because he's at the wedding as well as they're getting remarried, so I assume that he adopted Ryan into their family. Huey's given an offer to start the anti-soup agency that they started before. He refuses because, lo and behold, Annie's pregnant, but she's still fighting crime, still going off to try and be a hero, and that's kind of how the series ends. It's, like I said, adequate. Like, it's nothing spectacular. They don't solve everything together. They did their best for what they did, but still, like, it's clear, like, I don't know, all the issues I had with it are still here. Like, I kind of wish that they did something else with Homelander instead of making him an allegory for freaking Trump. I wish, like, yeah, I get that this was written years ago before all of this happened, and it is scary how accurate everything is here, but taking it for what it is here, it's just like, they took the most basic, most extreme stuff that was present during his first term, and they just applied it to the most extreme 10th level that you can possibly imagine. Granted, I don't think they predicted that it would be happening the way that it is, but we are living in a South Park episode, so there is that. But I just wished a little more from Homelander. I wished a little more about the exact way he was going to die. I don't know. The way I would have written Homelander if they would have kept him like in season 1, because Homelander season 1 is so radically different from this final season. Like, in the comic book series, he actually did want to help people. He did want to be a hero. It's only when he saw those photos, which was done by Black Noir, that he kind of has a complete mental breakdown because he assumes that he's losing his mind. I would have liked that kind of Homelander where he had those equal parts where he believed he was doing the right thing. Because here, he clearly knows he's doing the wrong thing. He just assumes that everyone should love him because he's superior to everyone in his own eyes. But I would have liked it if there was some sort of gray to him where he genuinely did want to help people. I don't know. I just feel like it's very basic in how they executed everything here. It is the highest 5 I can give it. It could have been far worse. It could have been something so catastrophic, but it's not as bad as I think it could have been. It's serviceable as a finale. Things end, and that's kind of the end, where Huey looks up at Starlight going to fight crime as she's pregnant, while he goes back to work at the video store with Annie's working there as well. I think it's a happy ending. As happy as you can get in everything that transpired. But tell me what you think in the comments below about this show. If I were to give the entire series a rating, I would give it the lowest 6 I can. Like, the first couple of seasons had a lot of promise of what they were developing towards, but I feel like during the 3rd season and up, they tried to diverge from the source material. And look, the source material isn't anything to write home about. I know a lot of people say it's one of the greatest things ever. It really isn't. It's also like a high 7 comic series. I read it from cover to cover. I was like, it's okay, and I can see why people would make a series about it, but I just wish they went kind of in a different direction where they didn't go to the most extreme, most outrageous things you can possibly imagine when it comes to like Christianity, American extremism, and all that stuff. But I just thought this could have had a lot more potential. It just feels like they were trying to end things in the most predictable way possible, as to just not subvert expectations, which is probably better because I've seen J.J. Abrams do that so much. Maybe it was better they just kept things the way they are. But that's my review of The Boys. It's okay. You can probably binge watch it if you want to and see it for yourself, or tell me what you think about this in the comments below. But that's the finale. It's done. And as for the upcoming new series, Vought Fireson, that's apparently in development, I don't really have any interest to watch it. If they were to cancel it tomorrow, I would say, okay, fine. But if they come out with it, it'll probably be something I just watch on my second screen while I'm playing video games. As for this, it kind of just ends on a very lukewarm finale that I don't think leaves The Boys in a higher, I guess, acclaim that it once was. But I've rambled on for too long. Goodbye. Have a good day.